Coughing is an incredibly common sign that dogs will display when they have some type of respiratory infection or irritation. But there are so many different causes for this one sign alone, so it can be difficult to figure out what's going on. So in today's video, I'm going to talk about some of the most common reasons why your dog may be coughing. And just remember, I use these same exact resources that I am gonna share with you in this video to help diagnose and treat my patients every day at my veterinary clinic. So let's jump into it. The first reason why your dog may be coughing is because they have something called canine infectious respiratory disease complex, also known as the canine cough. This is often referred to as the kennel cough in humans. This is actually a very common problem in dogs, especially those that are around other dogs a lot, like if they go to doggy daycare, or if they re-boarding at a kennel, or if they in a multi-dog household. The good news is that it's almost always self-limiting, which means that it gets better all by itself within 2 to 3 weeks. However, there are some things that you can do to help speed up your dog's recovery from this condition. And if you'd like to learn more about it, check out my video right here. The second reason why your dog may be coughing is because of something called tracheal collapse. Have you ever seen a person who has bad allergies? Or maybe you know someone who smokes and has a really bad cough? Well, that's exactly what it sounds like. If a dog has something called tracheal collapse, their trachea or their windpipe actually collapses, and then, when they inhale, it can make a honking sound. You may hear this and think that it's a very mild cough, but oftentimes this is pretty serious, and if left untreated, can be fatal. In fact, even though this is often diagnosed in toy breeds like Chihuahuas, Poodles, or Yorkshire Terriers, larger breeds can suffer from this too, so keep an eye out for this one. No, 3 is heartworms. Heartworm disease is caused by a parasite called Dirofilaria immitis. These parasites live in the heart and the associated blood vessels of a dog or a cat and are transmitted through the bite of an infected mosquito. This is one of the most devastating diseases that we see in dogs, especially since heartworm disease is preventable. If your dog does happen to be heartworm positive, there are treatment options available. However, treatment is not without its risks and can be very expensive. Luckily, there are very simple ways to prevent heartworm disease. So make sure that you are keeping your dog on a monthly heartworm preventative. If your dog happens to be overweight, they could be suffering from something called a collapsed trachea. Obesity in dogs is a huge problem and can lead to a multitude of other health conditions. Not only can obesity cause your dog to be at risk for developing a collapsed trachea, but it can also worsen the signs of a dog that already has a collapsed trachea. Helping your dog lose weight will improve their quality of life and overall health. So if your dog is overweight, please consider putting them on a diet. All of these conditions so far can cause what we call a productive cough. This means that the cough will usually be accompanied by discharge from the nose or eyes, or even coughing up of a bloody substance. So what about a dry cough? What are some causes of a dry cough? Well, let's jump into it. The first one is something called aspiration. Have you ever seen a dog that likes to wolf down their food so fast that sometimes they choke? Well, that's exactly what happens in aspiration. Dogs that eat too fast or have megaesophagus or megapharynx are at risk for this. And basically they swallow air while they re-eating, and then that air gets into the lungs and it irritates them. So you'll notice that your dog may start coughing after they eat. This is often worse after a really big meal or when they're eating their dry food. This doesn't always mean that your dog is overweight, although that certainly can play a role. Some dogs are just really gulpy eaters. So if you notice that your dog is a really fast eater, or maybe they have megaesophagus, consider switching to a slow feed bowl like this one. And don't worry, I've got a whole video dedicated to helping picky eaters. So be sure to stay tuned for that one. Another cause for a dry cough is foreign body ingestion. Dogs are notorious for getting into things that they shouldn't. At my veterinary clinic, we see everything from socks to string to corn on the cob that dogs have managed to swallow. If a dog swallows a foreign body, it can get stuck anywhere along their digestive tract, and that can cause some serious complications. So if you notice that your dog is coughing and you suspect that they might have eaten something that they weren't supposed to, definitely bring them into the vet so that we can take a look and make sure that they re-okay. Another reason why your dog may be coughing is because of smoke or some other type of inhaled toxin. Anytime that a dog inhales something that they're not supposed to, it can irritate their lungs and cause them to cough. I've seen this from dogs who've been in a house fire. But even something as simple as having a scented candle burning can irritate a dog's lungs enough to cause them to cough. So if you notice that your dog is coughing and you recently have been burning something like a scented candle, or maybe you were in a house fire or a wildfire, definitely contact your veterinarian and let them know what happened. Another medical condition that can mimic coughing is something called laryngeal paralysis. Mentioned earlier how the larynx is the part of the airway that sits at the top of the neck and allows air to pass in and out of the dog. Well, sometimes this can become paralyzed. When this happens, the dog loses the ability to close off their airway when they swallow. And this can lead to the dog aspirating and inhaling food into their lungs. This causes inflammation and irritation of the lungs and makes it seem like the dog is coughing, when in reality, they're actually trying to protect themselves from aspirating more food. So if you notice that your dog seems to be coughing more during or after meals, and especially if they're large breed and older, this could be something to talk to your vet about. Next up is tumors. Just like in people, tumors can cause a variety of signs. Depending on where the tumor is located, your dog may be coughing because they have a tumor either in their lungs or somewhere along their throat. This is more common in older dogs, so be sure to bring your senior dog in for regular checkups so that we can watch for any signs of cancer. And last but certainly not least, your dog may be coughing because of something as simple as kennel cough. Kennel cough is extremely contagious and is one of the most common reasons for dogs to have a productive cough. This is especially common in dogs that are boarded or spend a lot of time around other dogs. Symptoms of kennel cough include a harsh, dry cough, gagging, and even making a honking noise. Usually this is nothing to worry about because most cases resolve all by themselves in about 2 weeks. However, in some cases, it can develop into something much more severe. So if you notice that your dog has a harsh, dry cough, especially after spending time around other dogs, contact your vet. So there you have it. Those are some of the most common reasons why your dog may be coughing. I hope that you found this helpful, and I hope that it gives you an idea of what to expect if your dog ever develops a cough. Please subscribe to the channel. And thanks for watching.